Welcome to More Than Just Business, powered by the growth coach of the Poconos. My name's Franzo. Ironically, I am the growth coach of the Poconos. With us today is Carmine Corridore. He is the owner, operator, president, CEO, El Capitan of Underdog Computer and Network Support. Welcome, Carmine.
Thanks, Rick, for having me.
Thanks for being here. I appreciate your time. Tell us a little bit more about what sets Underdog Computer apart from other IT companies.
Sure. So most IT firms in this area are more reactive and transactional with their clients. Basically, they wait for their clients to call with problems. Underdog has a true proactive approach to providing IT support. We have software and tools that are on our clients' networks, computers, and servers that provide us real-time data 24/7. The software basically handles itself. It will try to self-heal any problem, and any problem that it can't self-heal, it will basically create a ticket and send it to us. At that point, our technicians will take a look at the problem and resolve it. The key takeaway here is that we are doing it proactively. We're doing it immediately, and a lot of times we're doing it before the client is even aware there's a problem.
Nice, excellent. I like to go and have things solved before I even knew that there was a problem happening. And self-healing, that's awesome. It sounds almost like Terminator. It sounds almost like Skynet-ish, right? So being proactive instead of reactive, I think that's super important. Were there anything that you did, any kind of best practices that you helped or strategies that you employed to help your clients prepare for when COVID-19, the situation hit?
Sure. So a lot of our clients, when we onboard them, we provide a disaster recovery and business continuity plan, and then we just review it with them annually just to make sure nothing significant has changed. But in relevance to COVID-19, we had a lot of conversations about it, and each client is different as they do things. But one of the things we wanted to make sure is whatever we did, it was secure and provide some kind of orders, to maintain and preserve workflow so that once this event is over, we can return to normal.
So you talked about business continuity and disaster recovery. What's the difference between the two of those?
Yeah, you'll hear disaster recovery planning most common, and a lot of times they'll be interchanged with each other. But essentially, disaster recovery is recovering from a disaster, such as a natural disaster like a fire or a flood or hurricanes or whatever. Whereas business continuity is continuing business during an event such as COVID-19. And Rick, I'll be honest with you. In all my years of doing this and all the contingency plans that I've been a part of, COVID-19 is just something I would never have thought about.
I don't think any of us would have thought about it. And so with business continuity and disaster recovery planning, people are working from home more than I think that they ever have. It's a dynamic that we're very, very fortunate to have so that some businesses in the essential and even non-essential platforms can continue to survive and to have business. I don't even know if it's as normal or as usual, but definitely continue to move forward. What are some of the key challenges from people working from home? What do you see that people working from home in deference to the companies and ways that they can keep themselves safe or get used to this new dynamic and this new platform?
Yeah, so first off, I think all businesses are essential. I think as a business owner, as a human being, regardless of the service that your company provides, we all want to make sure that our families, our employees, and our employees' families are safe and secure at home.
Right.
But specifically to answer your question, though, in today's landscape, many businesses use line of business, cloud-based or internet-based line of business applications. So from a business owner's perspective, it seems like a no-brainer. Just send my employee home. They can go to their home computer, log on to their, internet-based line of business application, and everything's good. In my world, that's called bring your own device.
BYOD.
BYOD, sure. And while that's an okay policy to have, it gives the business owner a false sense of security, and I can explain further. So with a BYOD policy, you need to have a minimum standard of security, and what that looks like for your business versus somebody else's business is completely different. But the way I see it is each computer should have a business class anti-malware. If the home computer, the home network should have a good firewall, not just using the internet providers, provided gateway, or better yet, if you can, segment the computer from the rest of the network. The second issue is most people just have one computer that the entire family uses, and that means that your company data is now on this shared computer. And while I'm not saying that your kids are going to be stealing your data, or your spouse, a lot of times they'll go to websites and places that they just either shouldn't be or just didn't know, and they'll wind up downloading malware or spyware and keyboard loggers, and now you've got a hacker just spying on everything you're doing for your company.
Yeah, that's definitely something that people really don't think about. Plus, your spouse or your children, they may be felons, and you don't even know it. So this would be a good way to find out, right?
Right. I get it. You need to get your employees up and running to keep your business going. And while I hope this is not something we ever go through again, having a policy in place helps dictate, what needs to be done. So it's not rushing people to get to work if you just follow the plan.
No, that makes a lot of sense. All the best practices that you can employ, again, being proactive and not necessarily being reactive. So business continuity, let's touch on that again. So what are some key items that businesses should be concerned with to maybe be included in their plan?
Right. So I think of four things. I think communication between your team members and your customers. Workflow, thinking about, what needs to be done when you can't get into your office, like scanning, printing, doing payroll, writing checks, mailing checks, things like that. Security, what policies are in place to keep data safe, and data control. How, do you have places where your employees can safely download and upload stored company documentation so that when you are ready to go back to work, you can get that documentation easily, or those documents easily.
That makes a lot of sense. Here's a question that I had. So say there's a business and I needed to get a hold of them, and I know that everybody's working from home and I don't have people's cell numbers. And so I call the office line. Does it go to someone's cell phone? Does it just, do people retrieve messages? What does that look like moving forward when businesses are closed down for a specific period of time? How do they still get the phone messages? How does that all work?
Right. So these days, there's many ways that we communicate with our clients. If you got an old phone system, the workaround might be to just forward your phone number to someone's cell phone, but now that you got that one person in charge of handling calls, no way of getting in touch with other team members, no way of transferring calls and all that stuff. For Underdog, we have a cloud-based PBX or voice over IP phone system that the flexibility in it is to be able to bring your phone handsets home with you. Or if you don't have a handset, you can actually use the phone system's app on your cell phone. But the key there is that you can answer calls from customers, you can transfer calls to other team members, you can have communication with your team members. It just keeps everything consistent and right on par.
Oh, that makes a ton of sense. What about healthcare? So we hear about this telemedicine or these telehealth appointments that you're having if you can't get into the office, or if the office is closed and the doctor would rather just do that type of, it's almost like a Zoom video call with you to have your appointment. How does that work?
So with our phone systems, we have a web meeting bridge built into it. Essentially, and it's a closed system. I'm sure you heard of Zoom having, these security hacks and all that stuff where people will just jump into an existing Zoom meeting where they don't belong and just do things. This is a closed system, so it's more HIPAA compliant. And what it provides to our healthcare, workers is they can relax, work from home while their clients are safely at home, and they can connect together over our secure closed web meeting system.
Is Underdog HIPAA compliant?
Underdog is HIPAA compliant. As you know, HIPAA, has been around since the late 2000s.
Right.
And it primarily deals with healthcare businesses. And as of late, the government has been cracking down on them a lot. While HIPAA is really more geared towards the administrative side of healthcare, there is a technology component to it. Because you do have electronic, customer information now. Not everybody needs to be HIPAA compliant. Certainly a business coach who doesn't have to never has to work with patient information for a healthcare facility.
Right.
Doesn't need to be HIPAA compliant. A marketing firm doesn't need to be HIPAA compliant. But, if you're plugging into your client's network, or if there's a chance, and even if it's a slim chance, if there's a chance you're going to see patient information, you need to be HIPAA compliant. The problem is, as an IT company, you can't just say that you're HIPAA compliant. You actually need to be, you need to actually go through the procedures and the policies to make yourself HIPAA compliant. I personally believe that most IT companies are, especially nowadays, are security minded. And I think they, do take things safely, but you need to have these audits in place. You need to have these policies in place. And you also got to make sure that your vendors, I had to make sure when I made Underdog go through this HIPAA compliancy, I had to make sure that the vendors that we were working with were also HIPAA compliant. If they weren't, I couldn't work with them. So it kind of creates like a chain of responsibility, so when the healthcare company works with me, I'm working with other companies that are HIPAA compliant. So it just keeps everybody safe.
That makes a lot of sense. I really didn't think about that dynamic. That's interesting. So HIPAA, absolutely, even before and continuing after this COVID-19 situation, is going to be absolutely important and relevant for sure. As we wrap up, and we're going to get back to normal. So we're looking at now in Pennsylvania, May 8th. They're going to start ramping up a little bit, and some businesses opening up, maybe some people that are working remotely going back to the office setting. What does that transition look like? How can Underdog help businesses to segue back from the home right back to the office?
So for my customers, the transition should be pretty smooth. As I said, we have these policies in place that dictated how we were going to work from home. But for other businesses, it's just a matter of, basically, when I mentioned data control, it's a matter of gathering up those documents that you've been working on and bringing them back to a central location now, so that everything is safe. What we really need to think about for businesses that didn't have business continuity plans, they really need to look into getting a business continuity and disaster recovery plans. If they had one and it didn't work out, they need to review them and figure out what happened. You need to, it's not a set it and forget it thing. You need to have a fire drill every once in a while just to make sure it's working correctly.
No, that makes a ton of sense. And so if people wanted to reach out to you and help with a business recovery or a business continuity plan or anything else that we discussed today, how could they get in touch with you, Carmine?
Well, our web address is underdogmcio.com. You can catch us on Facebook. Just search Underdog Computer and Network Support, or just go to facebook.com/Underdog MCIO. Our phone number is 570-243-9205. My email address is carmine@underdogmcio.com. And of course, I'm on LinkedIn as well.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, Carmine. Really appreciate all the information that you laid on us during this important time, especially when we're dealing with such remote technology issues that we're having right now. I wish you the best. Stay healthy, stay well, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rick. Talk to you soon.
You got it. Carmine Corridore, Underdog Computer and Network Support.